I was sitting at my desk and the lead popped up and I saw Austin, Texas. And I said, that's when you call right away. It was this lady who was living in Houston, and she had a piece of property that she had essentially inherited in the real close to Lake Austin. She gave me her number, said, look, it's tax assessed at 100. If we can close in 2 weeks, I'll take 80. Can you do that? And it was really, she was just like looking for someone to say yes, as fast as possible. They barely looked into it and signed on to an $80,000 purchase.
What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Carrot Cast podcast, the podcast with a funny name but a big mission. We help thousands of real estate investors and agents grow rock-solid mindsets, do better marketing so that you can build a business of freedom and impact. I'm your host, Trevor Mock. Let's dive into today's episode. What's up, y'all? I've got an awesome episode of the Carrot Cast for you guys today. We don't do a lot of content on land flipping, but we have a lot of our clients that actually use Carrot for a lot of land flipping. We've had Jack Bosch on here before. We've had other customers who are doing amazingly well with land. And when we're looking at our data, the number 3 most popular lead source of all of our websites, tens and tens and tens of thousands of leads every single month, are land leads. So we get motivated house seller leads, number 1, cash buyer, rent own tenant right around there, and land are always right there. So I thought we'd hop on here with an amazing investor and Carrot member. I had a chance to meet Russell in person at the last Carrot camp, and he's doing amazing at land, using Carrot, using paid ads for land, doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in profits from his land deals. So I'm going to introduce you guys to a Carrot camp alumni, Mr. Russell Williams, man. What's up?
What an honor. Thanks so much, Trevor, man. It's been a long time since I've been listening to you on the podcast, and to be here, man, what a dream. I appreciate it.
Dude, and so before we hit record, right behind you, you mentioned that you've got that canvas behind you. So those of you that are watching the YouTube version of this, you guys get to see my background, Russell's background. There's this canvas over here on my left. It says the ultimate goal as an entrepreneur isn't money. It's complete control over time. You've got the same one from the Carrot camp. And dude, one thing I'm excited about to hop onto is that topic, is how you've been able to regain some of your time as an entrepreneur, using some of the systems, the processes you're using as a land investor, leveraging Carrot and other tools too. But I'm pumped about it, dude. So before we really dive into that part of it, let's let people who know who the heck you are. So Russell, who are you? Where do you live? What's your business look like right now? And then we'll kind of dive into how you got started and all that later. But who are you? Where do you live? What's your business look like right now?
Yeah, Russell Williams, started Harmony Land Holdings back in 2018. And I live in San Antonio, Texas, and I invest in Texas, Florida, North Carolina, and Tennessee right now. And my business is in the process of scaling and growing, and kind of like buying back, my time here and trying to put people in the right places to where I can continue to take off 2 months during the summer with my family.
Dude, so that right there is cool. So you mentioned continue to take two months off. So if any of you guys and gals are listening to this who are struggling to take time off in your business, from your business, then we want to make sure to dive into how Russell is able to build more of that freedom into his own business. And dude, so in my notes here, there's a couple of really cool things that I think are things we want to debunk about land deals for people. Because a lot of times people think all the land deals are like $2,000 or $3,000 deals, and so you had a big one that you closed this past year or so. Let's talk about that really fast to kind of show people the potential. And then we're going to go all the way back to how you got into real estate investing in land. But let's talk about the big deal that you closed recently, man. You had a 6-figure deal.
It was awesome. It was just a internet lead. It came from PPC. A PPC campaign that I set up on my own, because it's a little obviously different keywords than what you're going to have. And, if you're flipping houses. So I was sitting at my desk and the lead popped up and I saw Austin, Texas. And I said, that's when you call right away, know? And it was this lady who was living in Houston, and she had a piece of property that she had essentially inherited in the real close to Lake Austin. And she gave me her number, said, look, it's tax assessed at 100. if we can close in 2 weeks, I'll take 80. Can you do that? And it was really, she was just like looking for someone to say yes, you know, as fast as possible. And so the motivation was there. I saw Austin. I said, yes, I definitely can. They barely looked into it and signed on to an $80,000 purchase. Yeah, it was a great deal. We closed actually in 3 weeks because their title company took a while. I used a line of credit to purchase it, and then you turned around, didn't mow it, didn't do anything. I did get a realtor. I don't have a MLS in Austin, but found a great realtor, and he put a sign in the yard. And within 2 weeks, we had sold it. We bought it at 80, sold it at 182.
Dude, the thing that's so cool about that, first of all, is the person, they found you, right? So you didn't have to send direct mail for that. Direct mail works amazing for land, but in this case, the person came through the internet onto the Carrot site. We'll talk about that, how that worked, kind of how that phone call go down, what the process looks like and works for people who are looking to do land investing. But then you turn it into a 6-figure payday, help that seller really well. Because, you know, she didn't know the right path to do so. You served an amazing purpose there. You got a piece of property on the market that wasn't already on the market. So now you help that real estate market get some inventory flowing, and everyone walked away with the win, dude. So 6-figure payday. I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy too. A little addition to that, like we sold it to another realtor. And that realtor sat on it for 2 months and then relisted at 249.
Oh, no kidding.
That's how hot the Austin market is right now, though. I mean, it's really insane.
Dude, so let's kind of go back a bit. I know you haven't always been a land investor, and let's kind of talk about what were you doing before you got into real estate altogether? What type of work did you do?
I first started out of college as a loan officer. You know, buddy got me a job. Hey, you know, it's great. You know, we're selling money. You know, and so I got my first job in Southern California out of college, and started, you know, selling mortgages and learning kind of the back end of how people buy and sell houses, you know. So I did that for about 12 years. In the middle there, I went to grad school, still worked full time. But I want to say the last 7 years, I was really just kind of thinking, you know, I want to do something different. You know, I guess back in college, I bought the Carlton Sheets, you know, program and read through it. And, you know, like my mind had been ticking ever since, but had not really taken any action on it. You know, it's like, well, you know, mortgages is kind of close, you know, but it wasn't real estate investing. It was pushing paper. And I really wanted to get out of it. And those last couple of years, I was, you know, just kind of miserable. And so I started dipping my feet into real estate investing. And my thought was, let's buy some rentals, you know, so we can qualify. I know how to qualify us. So while I had a full-time LO job, I was buying rentals and fixing them up and then refinancing them. And then, so we got up to about 12 houses was the most we kind of could without having, you know, the way my brain was working back then with just using conventional financing, the best rates, you know, 4.25 rates on 30-year fixes and, you know, fixed rates. And it just at number 12, you had to have like something like 60, 70,000 sitting in a bank account, cash reserves to add them. So I had like 4 under my wife's name, 4 under my name. We had our primary, we had a vacation. And so I couldn't see expanding it that way. You know, I had to go into some type of commercial financing, but I was kind of getting into wanting to maybe just flip some houses at that point. And so I moved into flipping houses, and that's kind of where it really kind of went off the deep end.
Dude, so let's dig into that a little bit, because I know when we were here at Carrot Camp and you experienced it, we'll talk a little bit about marketing stuff, but oftentimes it's the business side of it. It's how do we build a business that we enjoy more? How do we build a business that serves us, serves a greater purpose? You know, we can build a team if we want to build an amazing team, but how do we make it so we're not supporting the business supports the mission and the people in the business, right? So what was that process for you when you were going into flipping houses? What type of marketing were you doing? And then what did your average kind of week or month look like that led you down a path that you weren't enjoying anymore?
Yeah, well, so first of all, I've been a Carrot member since I think 2015.
Yeah,
I was like an early adopter, but you know, in my mind, you know, it was just a pipe dream, really. You know, it was like, oh, it'd be really great if I could talk to the sellers directly. I'd get a great deal, you know, and then I could buy it and rehab it and turn it into a rental or a flip. But I never I never put any traffic towards it. It just kind of had it out there and didn't PPC, didn't do anything because I was still in the house space, you know. So I was buying from wholesalers, you know, and so I was able to buy them on a line of credit and fix them up. And I think the disconnect really came is when I moved from Houston, which had some really great excess amount of labor. Everybody was fighting to work in Houston. I came over to San Antonio. It was a totally different feel. And my expenses, it was about a 40% markup on, I didn't know the right people, and, trying to start my business all over again, finding the people that I needed to flip these houses. And ultimately people didn't show up, and so when people don't show up and you need cheap labor, just look in the mirror, and that's what I did. I ended up having to swing hammers and, do light plumbing and light electrical and painting and drywall. And, it wore on me. And, it was great when I was making money. I could kind of look past it, but then I had one deal where I lost money. And I'm like, man, I spent 6 months of my life working on this house and I just lost money on it. Like that's a void that I can't replace. Mm-hmm. So, it made me look deep into what I really want to do. What do I enjoy doing? And it wasn't swinging a hammer, so, I think I heard, first of all, Jack Bosch's name from your podcast. You've had a couple students of Jack Bosch, and, I Googled him and I bought the course, and, it was time to make a change, the rock bottom hit, let's do something different.
Dude, so that's really cool right there. Cause I know you've met Brady and Braden, and they run the content stuff here at Carrot, the podcasts or videos. And oftentimes we're putting content out there, and we hope that people are listening on the other end, and we hope people take action on it. And it's so cool hearing when, people like yourself say, we heard this content that inspired enough action and gave a clear enough path to move you towards another step. So you were buying rental properties. You had a dozen or so at that time. You then started to flip houses so you can get some active income coming in. I want to connect the dots for people, how you made the transition from that path to land. Then I want to kind of ask this question first, Russell. So what's your end game with land? Because land is still transactional unless you're building up the owner carry, the owner finance payments. Are you taking any of that and putting it back into rentals, or kind of what's the end game with the land side of it?
Well, I think it's so scalable as opposed to where I was before. So I could only, if I was still flipping houses or building rentals without a giant team, I'm maxed out, 10, 15 deals a year, at least that's where my mindset was, but with land, there's really it can be scaled so much easier, more advertising, more phone calls, and it's all remote, so I've got a list here I'd like to go over a little bit later, just, why land, and that's one of the main reasons is that it's so scalable. And so I wanted a business where my income didn't have a ceiling, and I saw a ceiling with flipping houses and rentals, it wasn't scalable. So,
man, I see a big trend here. And we've talked about on the CareCast before, how land right now, number one, land is in demand in big ways, but also, like you had said, you're not bound by a location. And we'll kind of dive into it a little bit here, and we're going to link up the other episodes of the CareCast also that talk about land. We'll link up the Jack Bosch one that started your journey. Mm-hmm. There's other ones with Jeff Fassett, who's a land investor, Carrot member, who's been to Carrot Camp as well. He's a coach, I think, still with Jack as well.
Yep.
And then Luke Harris and some other ones that are crushing it with land. But the cool thing about it is you almost never or possibly never see the properties. There's not toilets and things like that to deal with. And you've got your list. We'll go to that here in a second. Let's kind of talk about that first experience on the land side, getting that first deal. Then what I want to do is I want to walk people through what you're doing now to create a really consistent, predictable flow of land deals in tons of different states. So what did the first deal look like? It sounds like you heard the Jack Bosch podcast.
Yeah.
Go over to the course. What happened next?
I felt like, I had wasted a lot of time. So when I got the Jack Bosch course, I went through it, and, I just dove in, and I knew also from listening to your podcast, I needed someone to accelerate my learning. So I signed up for their coaching program, and so I got a coach. And before I'd spoken with my coach, I'd started following the program. And my first deal, I never saw it, although it was only 15 minutes away from my house.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
It showed a road on Google Maps, but when you look at it from a satellite view, there's no road to it. It's just
really?
The developer never finished it. It wasn't a single tree on it. Okay. And I got it on a blind offer. So I sent out, I got the list from the county.
Yep.
It says it was worth $20,000 and I times that by 0.25, put that in the offer and sent those out the door. And this offer came in via fax.
No way.
So it was,
awesome.
it was hilarious. So I get a text from my wife saying, hey, check your email. Did we get our first deal? And, I pull it open and sure enough, someone had signed the contract and I pulled it up and I was like, looks like we got our first deal, and I was like, now I got to figure out what we just bought, my first deal was a double close. So, I purchased, I got it under contract. I immediately marketed it on Facebook and I found a buyer and used the buyer's funds to pay for the land. So
Dude,
it was a nice deal.
The crazy thing about land, that every single time I do a podcast on land, the steps seem so darn simple. Now I know that there's other things that people have to do to figure it out. I mean, you've got to take some steps and you've got to learn some skill sets for sure. But so you sent out the direct mail piece, which is probably really similar to what Jack talked about, or maybe literally that piece on his episode. Is that one where it's literally the contract? You're sending them a contract that says, "Here's our offer." They send it.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
It's a 2-letter mailer, and the first is just, hey, just kind of like, hey, we want to make an offer. And the second page is the offer. And people sign them and send them in. Now sometimes, you don't know, you can't do enough research on those to know that all those deals are perfect, right? So you may get some in and you're like, oh, this is on the side of a cliff, and that conversation is just like, hey, the data that we're giving didn't tell us that you're on the side of a mountain.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to back out of this deal.
And so then you post it on Facebook. Is there any particular spot that you'll usually go to sell those on Facebook? Is it groups, or kind of where are you selling them on Facebook?
Marketplace.
Okay.
Marketplace. And I use it. I go to miscellaneous, and then condition, I put brand new.
Gotcha. Cool.
And it's just a lot of people out there looking for it. That first deal, I was amazed. I get that first text or the message on Facebook, and I'm super excited. Somebody wants to buy my land. Little did I know it's going to take like 100 of those to actually sell the piece of land. But I was really excited. I think it got something like, I don't know, 9,000 views or something like that. I don't know. There's a lot of people looked at it.
Dude, so this is so cool. So I'm going to break this down for people. And then what I want to do now is, I know right now, Russell, you launched a Carrot site for this specific. So we're going to talk about what you did there, because there's probably a lot of Carrot customers right now that are listening to this going, man, for some reason, it's hard to get the momentum I want to get on the house side of things. What should I do next? And the bummer is so many people actually give up on real estate rather than shifting the model. Right. They'll give up and say, maybe real estate's not for me because it became hard here, instead of making the shift to land or mobile homes or whatever the other model is. So you got the first deal done. What are you doing right now, Russell, for deal flow with your marketing? And then let's kind of talk about after that, what your business looks like now. How many deals a month come in, so people can get an idea of what it looks like. But what does your business look like now? And then what marketing mix you use to pull those deals in?
I want to say, I'm kind of leaning more on mail right now, as I am. The internet leads have, I'm not saying fallen off, but maybe the quality of them has been a little worse lately. And that may be some of my search terms need to be adjusted. But mail always works in this business. It always has. And so I'll send out somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2,000 to 3,000 mailers a month, and get anywhere, response rate of, 2 to 4% on those. And that's a mix of blind offers and what they call neutral letters. A neutral letter is essentially just a letter saying, hey, I'm interested in buying your property, that generates more phone calls.
Yep.
And so, the numbers, I don't know exactly what my conversion percentage on the land pieces are. I have it more nailed down on the internet side, but we get at least a deal or two a month under contract from mail. Cool. If you send out 1,000 letters, and Jack Sposh's numbers were almost identical from what I heard him, doing the course, was you send out 1,000 letters, you're going to get a deal,
Gotcha.
And so, we're trying to ramp that up to where we get, 5, 6, 7 deals coming in, but I don't have all the systems in place, or hadn't had that. That's what I've been doing the last kind of like 6 months is switching CRMs and adding acquisition people, so that like when we blow this up, there's, it can be handled and we're not flushing leads down the drain. So.
Dude, and this is so cool. So right now, it sounds like, are you a one-man show? Are you answering all the phone calls, doing the disposition of the properties and everything?
I've been the solopreneur.
Yep.
So, I had that like a 15-month stretch where, it just blew up, and then I made enough money to where I could make my first hire. So,
Yep.
so listen to that podcast again on making the first hire.
Good.
And I got a guy local here, and he does great work, and he takes all the things off my plate that I don't want to deal with,
Okay.
And then I've been training, acquisitions people. So we're retreading some of the old land leads, which I think is, we've pulled 3 or 4 deals out of just old leads, because it's not like a house, like land deals. Like if someone doesn't find a solution to it, like it just kind of sits there for a while, And so it's not like a house where it's going to be foreclosed, or, those leads kind of convert even better as they, marinate for 6 months,
So we've been picking up the phone and calling them, or are you guys sending them another piece of mail?
Yeah, well, so we switched over to FreedomSoft, and so then they've got the the functionality of texting, email blast, so we can group it. So something that hit 6 months ago, we can go back and here's a 6-month email. Hey, have you sold it? And then a text message, then followed up with some phone calls. So I'm trying to training them on the old leads, and looking forward to when we double, triple our marketing, that we have enough capacity and people to take it without kind of messing up or throwing those leads away.
Dude, this is so cool. Let's dive into the online side a little bit. So like you mentioned, kind of the season that we're in right now, the lead quality on some of the land ones that you're seeing has gone down a little bit. One thing that we've seen over the years is, depending on how the market cycle is in those areas too, sometimes the motivation of whether it's a seller or a seller for land or seller for house adjust, right? In a market that's hard, so let's say 9-10 years ago, in a market that's hard, where you can't, those land sellers have almost no option to sell. Their motivation oftentimes goes up, and then you of course on the investor side have to then figure out how to sell those properties. But as the market cycle changes a bit, your motivations go up and down. And so many people right now are just seeing how hot real estate is in general, and oftentimes they're wanting unrealistic expectations on prices on things. Let's kind of dig into the online side. So when you started leveraging Carrot for the land stuff, kind of what were your steps there? You got that big $100,000 deal out this past year, which is crazy. But what were your steps when you started to leverage Carrot for land, and how long did it take to get that first deal from Carrot on the land side?
Yeah, the first deal came within a month, or maybe even 2 weeks. And it was a weird little deal. It was an HOA on a golf course community. Houses are like 500,000, but the piece of land I bought for $1,500, because
really?
The HOA fee was like $100 a month or something, and so that drove the price of land down in this community. Nobody wanted, if they didn't build a house there and they're just sitting on this piece of land, the HOA just beat them down, and and they finally were like, just get rid of it. So he gave me that price too, and I said, okay, I'll do it. And it was like 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and got my first deal online. And I was like, well, let me kind of twist some things and see if I can grow it. But the numbers have been pretty consistent. With mail, it's like you spend about $1,000, you get a deal. Is what my numbers turned out to be. So
on the PPC side too.
On the PPC side.
Gotcha. Okay. What's your
which I know some house flippers are like drooling at that number, because so the numbers that I heard at Carrot Camp on PPC for what's working in certain markets blew my mind. And the average profit on our deals is between 10 and 15,000.
Dude, so you guys are actually pulling some pretty darn good average profits, because oftentimes what we'll hear is the 5 to 10 range. So are there certain markets that you're finding are the ones that are going to yield the higher profit per deal, or kind of what do you feel your profits are a little bit higher than the average ones you're seeing?
Texas has been pretty good. Okay. It has been the highest profit area for me. The Florida leads, so they're there. I probably most heavily market in Florida and Texas. And so those are more of your 5 to 10. And then Texas is more of your, like 10 to 20. But I had a couple real big home runs, outside of that, I had a couple come close to 6 figures as well. So it was like, that's kind of skewing my average a little bit.
Yep. Dude, so if people were going to launch a Carrot site, and let's say they're wanting to add on to their house flipping wholesaling business, and kind of add another income stream, or they're wanting to move away from that to be able to pivot like you did. They launched the Carrot site. We'll even show on the screen here in a bit for all of you on YouTube. We'll show you the basic modifications Russell did to his Carrot land site. Got the first deal out in a few weeks. What did you do on the PPC side to work for you? What type of ads you running, keywords, things like that?
Yeah, I had to just, figure it out on my own, really, and it's like any business, like even if you want to like hand it off to somebody else, you kind of have to know what's going on. So I went in there and picked out some keywords and let it flow for the first, month, and then sat back and looked at it, and then realized like, hey, I think that there's more opportunity here. Let me go talk to some people that know a little more than I do. And so I reached out to people on both Fiverr and Upwork. I had some people make some more pages for different states. So I was like, let me go to Florida. I actually went out to like 8 different states, but then trimmed that down to 4. But yeah, I didn't change much on it at all. I did some state specific as opposed to city specific landing pages. And I put a bunch of every time I got a deal, got a testimonial.
Yep.
I made sure that was number one thing, and put those testimonials on, try to establish some credibility, and ran with it. I mean, it really wasn't that much.
So you mentioned one thing that's really, really interesting, and also something that people need to latch onto. I'm going to share my screen really quick for those of you that are watching the YouTube version. Is Russell had mentioned on the land side of things to focus on the state rather than the city. And that's what we've seen as well, because oftentimes when people are searching for to sell their land, let's say that they're in Austin, Texas, that piece of property might be out there outside of the city limits or in the middle of nowhere. And in their mind, oftentimes they're not going to search Austin. They're probably going to search sell my land in Texas or Texas land buyers, or whatever it is. Are you finding any searches come in through cities, or is it pretty much all states that you're finding the most successful?
Yeah, it's all states. And it really, like with PPC, I just see like people may be in Texas, but their land is in Georgia, and so and so I've got some bought property in New Mexico. If it's a deal, it's a deal. You know what I mean? Like, so I'll look at it. I just won't target it. But yeah, I've noticed that it's typically they're just searching for the state, and someone to pay cash and close quickly.
And guys, so I'm showing this. I want to show you guys the simplicity here. So he launched a land site on Carrot. He didn't change a whole lot at all. I saw an amazing land site the other day. Let me see if I can find this one. This is one. This wasn't a land one. It was a mobile home one, actually. Let me just bring this up. The reason I want to bring this one up is it's really simple, right? Like they did go through the concierge program to have us dial it in visually, add in some pictures and things like that. But then one thing that you guys can do, like they did on the mobile one, is you still leverage what works well in our proven process. Ask the address first, or on land. Some people have updated it to ask for the parcel or parcel number if the seller knows that. But this one here, what was important to them is they said, they want to know if it's on a private lot or in a park. And so you can make those slight modifications to your forms and still make them work really well. But when you launch the site, what did you do to do the basic modifications on here, Russell?
I went through a little bit of the training and just, I didn't change too much. I mean, it's pretty stock.
Yeah, it is.
And I feel like the more I tweaked it, the worse it became, because I feel like you guys do a great job and put it together really well. So I didn't want to change too much, just make it about my company and our values and have our testimonials on there and let the site do its own work,
That's the thing about the land side too, because there is less competition on the land side. So on the house side, you might have 5, 6, 7 investors all competing for the same deal. And so really amping up that credibility and that differentiation of the testimonials, of the stories, getting some video content is going to really help you as a client edge out the other competition. Whether you're competing against another Carrot client or not, doesn't matter. It's the credibility and then how's the website set up. On this side over here, you definitely still need credibility, because if they're going to be selling their property, they want to know, is this person actually going to pay me? Is this really going to work? So credibility is crazy important here, because selling a piece of property isn't a normal transaction to them. They're like, I don't know, I hope I actually get my money from this. But more than anything, they just need to know the process. Do they have a service that is going to actually help me? What's the process look like? And then at the end, it's, well, can I trust these people? And so those are the things that you want to make to have on your guys' websites. For sure. So one quick thought that popped up is, as you made that transition, so you were pretty good, it seems like, going from mortgage, and you said, man, I see this opportunity to dive into rentals, I'm going to get into it. And then you said, man, I've got some rentals and we've had some success with it. Now I see this opportunity to go flip houses. And now you go, shoot, I see the merits, pros and cons of flipping houses. And you saw the opportunity to dive into land. Did you ever have any moments where you were you had analysis paralysis? Did you ever have any moments where you were hesitating? And how can people get over those if they're experiencing those?
Yeah, early on, like just getting out of the loan officer job into real estate investing and considering myself a real estate investor as opposed to, a loan officer. I sat on the fence for quite a while. Literally my first deal had to be literally just laid out on my lap. And it was while I was a loan officer, a deal landed on my lap, and that was my first deal. Still own it today. I sat there just dreaming. I call it dreaming because if you don't take action, it's a dream, right? And so first deal came and it kind of like sparked something in me that I was like, this is let's go full forward, And so once you have that feeling, you have to move on it, and however you do it, get a coach or, listen to the podcast. There's plenty of inspiration on the podcast, and that helped me for sure. Just because you hear other people doing it, then it makes it easier to believe that you can do it, right? Mm-hmm. So constantly put in your ear the right things or the right people, and move forward. Just take a little risk, because I feel like that if you just keep sitting on it, opportunity is going to pass you by for sure.
Dude, and that's such amazing feedback, guys. And the cool thing is too, with the land side of things, there's definitely less risk with that. So the cost per deal is lower, like Russ was saying, about $1,000 per deal for him. Average profit per deal is about 10 to 15 on his side. When you look at the house side of things, your profits might be bigger potentially in some markets, and your average cost per deal is also going to go up with that. But some markets too, I'm seeing wholesalers do $10,000 to $15,000 wholesale average, and they're a $3,000 cost per deal, as an example. So they're both great models. Dude, what are you finding is the biggest difference for you on the day-to-day as far as the work that you're enjoying? Are you enjoying your work more? What's your average work week look like versus before?
Well, I'm trying to get to Keith Sand's number where he's working only 5-6 hours a week, he says. Yeah. I'm enjoying the work more. I mean, the process that I'm in right now and trying to put the pieces in place, maybe not be as enjoyable as I'm hoping it would have been, because just training people, that's not a skill set I have, learned, and I'm having to learn that. But, the amount of work that I do is for what I get paid, I feel is unbelievable, and being able to just live life on my terms. We take the whole summer off. I don't mail anything during the summers. I keep the PPC on and I forward any leads that I get, but, I pretty much take the whole summer off, and we're going to Colorado for 10 days for over Thanksgiving. And, it's quality of life between now and when I was flipping houses. It went from a 2 to a 12,
Dude, and that for me is what it's all about, right? Because we can make a gazillion dollars. We can make, I know people who are making $1 million a month and are completely unhappy. I know people who are making $50,000 a year and are way more happy than the person at the other end. Now, it doesn't mean that the more money makes you less happy. It means, like, what's the intent? Why are we building the business? And we should have some sort of a mission, some sort of purpose behind building the business, where the business fuels something specific. The business doesn't just fuel hitting a bigger goal, bigger number. It fuels something specific. In your case, it's buying back that time, right? How do I have a business model that buys back my time so I can leverage it with my family and for the things that matter in this world, which is way, way cool, dude. Love it. There's a couple other questions. I'm kind of looking through the notes here, and one pretty cool tip. It looks like you're using options contracts on skinny deals.
I would love to talk about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't think that really works in the house business. Like, I don't know a house seller would be like, hey, let me just get an option to buy your house in 6 months, for 6 months. I don't think that is going to work in this market. I have a deal that we just closed. They signed paperwork yesterday, and it was a dead lead. It's a really nice lady out in Tennessee. Another reason why I love, I talk to people from different states and different kind of cultures, but she was just not going to accept a penny less than $55,000. no way, no how. Me and my daddy, we worked on this land. We grew tobacco, and 55 is my number, and it's like really much market, you know what I mean? There's no real like room to, to make any money on that deal. And I was like, I think 55 is right around market, but I think I'd like to give it a shot. I'm this is what I do for a living, and let's talk about an option, and this is how it will work. And if you give me 3 months, I would like to have the opportunity of buying this. And I got it under an option contract and put it on Facebook, and in 2 weeks I had it sold for $60,000. Now it's not a huge home run, but like $5,000 out of a dead lead, And she's really happy. She got her number. Buyer's super happy. They actually wanted to connect with her about the property and its history. And and I made some money. So it's a true win-win-win deal on an option contract that I don't see that you could do in the house flipping world.
Dude, so that's way cool right there, because like you're saying, you're helping the seller. So rather than walking away from it, which is what a lot of people will do, right? If they don't see their margin in it, sometimes we forget why we're doing this. We look at it as the reason we're doing it is to get the dollar in our pocket. And if we flip that mindset like you did there to say, well, yeah, my margins are going to be smaller, but how can I help her? How can I actually help her solve her problem? Because if I don't help her, what is she going to do next? Was it a direct mail piece? Did she do a Google search? Kind of how'd she find you?
She did a Google search, and then on her husband's phone, and then so it was an internet lead, and but I had to mail her the contract.
Okay,
right? I couldn't scan it or DocuSign it or anything. She said, just mail it, and she's like, I'll sign it and then I'll send it back, and that's how it works. Old school. But yeah, it was an internet lead.
Dude, this is so cool, man. So guys, option contract, make sure to leverage that and look at that type of a deal. If you're doing land, look at the option contract for the skinny deals. And we'll talk about how people can reach out to you, dude, because I know you're a coach with Jack now, which is so cool seeing that full circle. I've known Jack for probably over a decade now. A good friend of mine. Every time we go down to Phoenix, I hit him up, and we had breakfast last time I was down there. It was probably 2 years ago. That was a while. It was before the pandemic.
He's a great guy. I mean, he is one of those so-called gurus, but like if you listen to him talk and you see what he does, like he really cares, and it's not like one of these guys that he's offering something that doesn't work, and that's what I love about him. Like when I listened to him, and then I went to the workshop, like it was obvious that he wanted his students to have success, and that's the one thing he says, when he's having coaching meetings with us, and he's like, we need our students to have success, get that first deal done, and so I really appreciate, what Jack has done for me and my family.
Yep. Well, Russell, so you came to Carrot Camp this last time, and that's the first time I had a chance to meet you in person. And I know I'd seen the name in our system for years, and let's kind of talk about this a bit, dude. So you sign up for an event up in this middle of nowhere, Oregon, called Carrot Camp. What were you expecting, first of all, and kind of what'd you get out of the event?
Sorry about that. A leak was coming in. I had been hearing about Carrot Camp for years. So I was like, I'm ready to do this, and for many years while I'm flipping houses, I didn't meet the minimum required income. So once I passed that threshold, I was persistent, and I think I had to reach through some back channels to get some people's attention over there. But I did. I was super excited. I just wanted to see what other people are doing and see the beautiful state of Oregon. And I was really pumped just to see what other people are doing in their business and how they view their investing career and where they're wanting to go.
What were some of your biggest takeaways from Carrot Camp? Were there any relationships formed? Any tips you took back, or just mindset shifts?
Yeah, for sure. I really liked what the way people are using their virtual assistants, to and leveraging that to free up their time. I forget who it was, had like 6 or 7 VAs that are in the Philippines, and that's his entire crew.
Yep.
Right. I thought that was really impressive. And then just how everybody has a different kind of niche or way that they're serving their community, from Bo, doing all the different types of social media to it was really cool to step back and see other people do their thing and pick and choose little pieces from it to add to my business. I really want to add some more content, so where I'm some more evergreen to my business. and trying to figure out how to do it. But it's definitely going to be done here in the next 2 to 3 months. And I'm excited to just get some evergreen going. And that's what my assistant's working on right now.
Dude, so let's talk about that for a few minutes, because when I had Jeff Fassett on, and when I had met him, and guys, we'll link it up in the show notes, the episode with Jeff Fassett, where we dive into how he's doing land. And when he was here, he wasn't using Carrot a ton at that time. It's pretty much almost all offline at that time. And he's really leveraging Carrot big time to get his buyers list and grow that buyers list. And he's getting a lot of sellers through it now too. But one thing that I told him, and I think this would be amazing for you as well, because almost no one actually implements this on the land side when I tell them to, because maybe you don't need to, right? Because if you're already getting the deal volume you need to, then you don't need to go do extra things on it. But one thing that you could do is when you get a really good lead coming in, or when you have a deal, one thing that you could do is take out your phone or use software like loom.com, LOOM, or have someone else do it. So you maybe do the first 10 to 15, and then you create a process and hand it off to somebody. But I would probably take Loom and pull it up and say, hey guys, this is Russell with XYZ, land buyers. And I'm going to show you an average type of a land that comes in that we can usually help. And this is a property that we just purchased this last week. It's a gal in Tennessee, and here's what happened. Let me bring it up on the Google Maps or whatever and show the property. And here's what she did to come do the search. And here's what happened. And here's what she said. And here's her testimonial if you have it or whatever. But you can just talk about it and say, now, if you have a property that is like this, and you're looking to sell it in Tennessee or then you just guide him down the process. Next one comes in, hey guys, this is Russell again. And then you can optimize those for phrases like sell your farmland, how to sell your farmland in Tennessee. And then it's literally walking through that example. Then it's like how to sell your whatever with high HOA fees in this town. And then just walk through that case study and how to sell your whatever, and just put out one a month.
And then put it through the video uploader in Carrot, right?
Dude, yeah, put it into video post. Make them somewhere. They got to be at least the 3 minutes, because if they're under 3 minutes, you're not going to have enough words on the page to really have it probably rank well in Google, because the average person speaks 120 to 160 words a minute. And so if it's under 3 minutes, it's probably only going to be a 200 to 300 word article, which won't capture Google's attention. So make sure it's 3 to 8 minutes long. And it doesn't have to be complicated. And just always think about, like, what's the situation that the person's going through that I just helped? Let me explain their story. Let me say some of the words that someone might type into Google, for that. And then the cool thing is you can then start to test that on Google PPC too, because then you can take, and if farmland is a niche that you're like, man, I'm buying a lot of farmland in this state, or I want to, or I'm buying a lot of whatever in this state. Send them to a page that's specific on selling that type of land. If you're seeing people actually do that keyword search and click ads for that. At the start, I would just send them to the homepage like you're already doing. But if you see people clicking ads that are for a niche of a piece of land, I would then say, well, enough people are doing this. I'm going to create my own page just on farmland, or just on this type of property, just on this. Add your video at the top, and that way it's a really hyper focused piece of content for that type of land. But yeah, just keep it simple, dude. Do 1-2 a month, and 3 to 8 minute video. Talk through the scenario. Hey, if you're looking to sell your land for cash in this market, and here's the type of property, hit us up. We can help you. I mean, if it's something that you start to enjoy, like for me, I enjoy that stuff. It gives me energy. Then it gives me a way to put value out to the market and talk to my market versus just turning a transaction. But everyone's different on whether they enjoy it or not.
Challenge accepted. Give me 2 months. Give me 2 months. I'll get one out.
Let's do it, man. I love it. Yeah, you'd hit me up with it. So when you get it done, ping me on it. I'd be happy to look at it and to give any feedback or tweaks to it. But yeah, just get something out. Use Loom or use your cell phone. 3 to 8 minutes. Bring it. Show the property. Talk about the situation. And what our whole goal is to get people who are watching it to go, oh, that's me. Or that's my mom, or whatever. And if Russell helped that person in a similar situation, I bet he can help me too. And it shows it's going to increase your conversion too, because now they see you and you're a real person. You're smiling, and it's not this ominous thing behind a website.
A lot of the problems that people have when they're selling a house, are the same things that happen with land. And one of the biggest ones that I see is just inherited property. It's land's a lot of times somebody else's dream. It's not their dream, and, Pappy, gave them the land and he's been gone for a while and they're just paying taxes on it. And so that I see that scenario. Definitely that would be the first one I pop out, is just talking about title issues and things that pop up in land. And if you can solve those title issues, you can get, a piece of land at a discounted rate. Dude. It'll be a win-win for everybody.
Dude, so I'm going to Google now to like type some things. So sell bare land. I'm typing this up. I'm going to share my screen really quick, guys, because this right here, this is one of the ways that I would go and discover content ideas around this topic. Literally go in there and take the keywords that you already know work well in PPC. So you probably already have a pretty good idea of, well, these 5 keywords are kind of my main keywords. Sell bare land, sell raw land, sell, whatever, sell land for cash, whatever the phrases are. So sell bare land and so it looks like there's people, I don't know where Gampola is, but it looks like people are searching right now in Google how to sell land in Idaho, Oregon, Montana, Antarctica. I don't think that's real. Okanagan up in Canada. So if you're looking to go into markets anyway, you guys can even use the internet to possibly target and find some markets where people might be searching to sell land. So Idaho, Oregon, Montana, it looks like there's probably people doing that. Let's do this with title issues. I don't know if this is going to show up. It's probably too nichey. And so here, sell bare land with title issues in Oregon might be something if you're buying property in Oregon. Yeah, that'd be a great piece of content to do. And this right here actually is one of our clients right there, crushing it for that phrase. This right here, I don't think that one is, but I think this one is. But yeah, guys, just do this right here. How to sell land by owner in Tennessee, how to sell land by owner in Texas, how to sell land by owner in this area of Texas. Documents needed to sell land by owner. Even that, hey guys, you might be looking how to sell your land by owner in Tennessee, and you're probably asking, what documents do I need? Well, I'm going to walk you through in this quick video in my whiteboard. Here's the 4 documents you need, or the 2 that you need to sell. Now, if you want to avoid all that, just go ahead and click this button, submit your information. You only need 1 document, and I'll send it to you, and you just sign it, and you'll be done with your piece of property. Yeah, how long does it take to close on a land sale? Those are all things. How long does it take to close on a land sale in Tennessee? And the cool thing is, it might take you 10 minutes to do one of these pieces of content, and it might be low traffic, low volume, but if you get someone who lands on that, they're gonna be really high quality. You just stack 1, 2, 3 of those up a month. After a year, 2 years, you're gonna have dozens of pieces of content. Some of them aren't gonna really bring a lot of traffic. 5, 10, 20% will. And then that's where you're gonna get that evergreen in there. All kinds of cool ideas here.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Well, dude, let's wrap this puppy up. And I want to make sure people know where to follow you, where that they can, even go be coached by you. I don't make any money by doing this, guys. I want to see you guys succeed, because me bringing Jack Bosch on inspired Russell to go and learn how to use Carrot better and build a better business. So where can people follow you, find you, or even learn from you?
I have a business, a Facebook page, Harmony Land Holdings. Cool. Providing harmonious land transactions.
I love it.
So that'd be just Harmony Land Holdings LLC on Facebook. You'll see me there. And then, if you want to learn more about land, there's, Jack Bosch does do a free thing once a month or every other month. And so maybe we post something in the show notes for a free training or something like that.
That works awesome. So I'm going to wrap up this episode, kind of give a quick rundown of it. So guys and gals, Russell moved from mortgage broker to buying rental properties to flipping houses, been a Carrot customer, 6 years, 5.5, 6 years now. And then made a transition when he was getting wore down by the business model of flipping houses into land after listening to a podcast just like the one you guys are listening to. He's made over $420,000 over the past, dude, I didn't talk about that. I've got a note that says 420K over a few months. You presented that at Carrot Camp. What's your year been like since you started doing land?
Man, I mean, that was the 15 months. It was just going crazy like Key Sant was, and so that was 2020 to first quarter of this year. Mm-hmm. And that's when I pumped the brakes and said, hey, we need to move some things around, because, this has always been a lifestyle business. And as my buddy says, you live the Carlton Sheets lifestyle. And I was like, I think that's a compliment. I don't know, but I think it is. But so that was January 1 to March 31st of 2021, where we had gross revenues of over 420. So that was, it was a good run.
That is awesome.
We're still doing deals. It's just, I want to put more pieces in place before I start really putting money into the top of the funnel and money's coming out the back.
Buying back the time, man. I love it. So 6-figure business on the land flipping side of things, about $1,000 cost per deal right now, whether it's direct mail or Google pay-per-click. He's still bringing in deals through the internet, still bringing in deals offline as well. A good mix of deals. Did a 6-figure deal not too long ago, and another one that was a slim deal. One of them was using an option. The other one was a Google PPC lead that came in as well. Guys, if you guys want to make a shift in your model, I highly suggest, if the house flipping business, wholesaling business is wearing you out, if you're having a hard time trying to crack through, look at land. Land is not going away. There's so much land in tons of states. Oregon, we have a lot of land flippers flipping here in Oregon. A buddy of mine, JP Moses, he's in Memphis, Tennessee. I've known him for years, and he called me up. He's a Carrot member. He's like, dude, do you know where Klamath Falls is or Klamath County is? I'm like, yeah, dude, I grew up there. And my uncle is actually the Klamath County, my wife's uncle. He's a Klamath County assessor. He's the property assessor there.
Nice.
And so he goes, dude, that's my number one market is Klamath County and around the Sprague River and all kinds of stuff. So it's funny. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. But Russell, man, I appreciate you hopping on, buddy. Any parting words for people if they're looking to make the leap into land?
I just say take action. And if it's there are some nuances to it that's different. And, if you don't feel comfortable right away, jump in and find someone who can help you, or if you're potentially, getting leads that you're not using, land leads, like call on those, if you need, reach out to me if you need some help, no problem.
Yep. I love it. Guys, take action on it. Russell, appreciate your time today, buddy. Guys, go look up Jack Bosch. If you guys want to be potentially coached by Russell, one of their amazing coaches, launch the darn Carrot land site. If you have not done it, at least just experiment with it. Yep. Throw some Google ads behind it. Do something there because you might find a niche that can really help you serve more people and latch onto that. Guys and gals, give us a rating and review over there on Apple Podcasts and subscribe wherever you listen to this, guys. Have an amazing, amazing rest of the week. Take action on it. Get some land leads and deals closed soon. And Russell, thanks for sharing your story, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Trevor.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys.